Hey, good morning and welcome to the CPS test garden. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about seed saving. One of the things we talked about in the past is just trying to decide what you want to teach. So if one of the things that you want to teach about is seed cycles, or that if you want to save seeds with students, you want to leave things in your garden a lot longer than you normally would. So today we're going to talk about saving seeds from a number of different things. Specifically, I'm going to go over zinnias, and I've prepared these bags with a date on them as well. So zinnias, I'm going to talk about python beans. We'll refer a little bit to cilantro and coriander, to mustard seeds, and to basil seeds. So one of the things you want to think about when you're saving seeds is if they're going to be true to seed. So that means you want to make sure that you've planted something that's not a hybrid, and also that you don't have something similar growing or from the same family growing in the garden so that it can get cross-pollinated. Because if you've done that, then the seed that grows next year may not be true to type, meaning that it might not come back the same as what you planted originally. And maybe you want to try that out because that's really fun to kind of have these like mixtures of plants, and that's some really fun science to do as well. So zinnias are here. These are not hybrids, and as you can see, I've let them go to seed. Where the seeds exist in these flowers are right in the middle. So if you open them up, the seeds look like this. What I recommend that you do is take a bag, and you really want to make sure that seeds are really dry before you store them for the winter. So what you can do is just come along, and any of the flower heads that look really crispy, you can cut right at the bottom and then put into the bag. So I'm going to take about 3 of these just for demonstration purposes. This one's good too. It's lost a lot of its petals, and even the stem is really crispy. So we'll put that in there. And after like a week or so, you can check and make sure that everything looks crispy. And then from there, you can go ahead and smush them up and get all of the seeds out, and then package them for the winter and either store them in the refrigerator or freezer, just somewhere where it can be like really cool and dry. So the next thing I wanted to show you is the python beans that we grew over here, which are super cool. And I've let some of those go to seed as well. So these are these really long beans. If you remember, this was like our cool beans garden, I think we called it. No, our bean buffet garden. So there's 3 different types of beans in here. So this is an example. Well, and I'll show you, like there's a broad bean here, the python beans, and then we have bush beans over here, and these look ready to harvest and eat. I think there was even one other variety in here. So because we grew all of these right here and right together, and that pollinators can cross-pollinate, this is not a good example of something that you would want to save. So if you want to save bean seeds, then you should be growing one variety of beans in your garden and kind of peek around and make sure that there's no other neighbors that are growing beans either. However, this is education, so sometimes it's really fun just to go ahead and save them anyway. These also kind of grow in clusters. You can see that they're dry, but they're still kind of pliable. So those you want to put in a bag, and again, let them like dry out really well. I find that this is like a really centering activity once they're dry. So I think kids would really like to open these up and to find the little dry bean seeds on the inside. The last seed that I wanted to show you, putting these in here like this, right, and just set them in a dry place for a while. One other one where you can save seeds for is basil. So this typically, like if you wanted the basil plant to grow really well, you would be cutting and bushier. You can cut these, the seeds off. That's a really good thing to do during the season. However, these turn into flowers and feed our pollinators. And then they also those flowers turn into seeds. So what you can see here is on the bottom, these are where the seeds are. So it's nice and crispy. And there's really small black seeds in there. There's one. So these are still a little bit too pliable. There's two. But after you put them in the bag for a little while, then you'll be able to get more of the seeds out. And as long as that's, not a hybrid plant and that's the only one in your garden, then you can go ahead and use those seeds next year. This is a good plant to start inside in like March or April. Other seeds I've referred to before are mustard seeds. That's another one. Anything in the Brassica family can cross-pollinate with those. So if you have multiple things in the Brassica family in the garden, you can get some really funky, kind of unidentifiable vegetables that are still edible. They're still leafy greens. They might taste really good. They just don't look exactly like a collard green or a kale or a mustard. And then generally cilantro is really good to save. Those are the coriander seeds, because rarely are you growing a lot of different types of cilantro in your garden. So just a general overview of seed saving. Hope that you can try some of this out this year, and then wait a little while and see what happens next year.